Hi everyone, welcome to the Midnight Kafana, your own little escape for the evening. Let's get you set up with our Barsys system. Meet Barsys, your AI-powered personal bartender that's designed to craft a variety of cocktails with ease so you can simply sit back and enjoy. Before we get started though, I did want to give you guys a quick note that this is a newer piece of technology, and like with any smart device, occasional hiccups can happen, so we do appreciate your patience if anything does come up. Now, because we know nothing quite beats your own bartending skills, we've also provided a classic bartending kit for you to enjoy. And for those perfectly chilled cocktails, there's an ice maker ready for you to use. The system itself is powered by an AI-driven application that automatically measures and mixes your ingredients to create perfectly balanced cocktails at the touch of a button. The setup includes this wireless mixer with a built-in blender, which activates when you place it on the center coaster. It pretty much mimics the motion of a freshly shaken cocktail. If your drink does call for it, feel free to add ice before placing it on the coaster base. You'll also find a funnel to easily fill each of the 6 reservoirs with your chosen spirits and mixers. They are labeled alphabetically, and the side panels make it easy to check how much is left in each reservoir at a glance. Now, there is a correct way to insert the funnel to help prevent accidental spills. It should slide easily into each reservoir and sit flush when properly placed. If it feels difficult to insert, it's likely not aligned correctly, and you'll notice it won't sit properly and may look like this. So you'll simply want to readjust it so it looks like this. You'll also find a 32-ounce stainless steel measuring cup. The reservoirs, however, only hold up to 25 ounces, so don't fill the cup to the top as it will cause a messy overspill. Alright, so now for the fun part. We've provided an iPad with the Barsys 360 app preloaded. To get started, just open the Barsys app. Here on the home screen of the application is where you can explore different sections like your starter kits, mix lists, most crafted cocktails, and FAQs. So feel free to browse them all. But for today, we're going to focus on the craft, create, device sections, and how to connect the device via Bluetooth. To connect, simply tap the Bluetooth button at the top. You'll see 2 options appear, one for the Barsys coaster and one for the Barsys 360. Select Barsys 360 and then you should see our device labeled After Dark appear. You're going to tap it to begin the connection process. You'll notice that the unit light turns blue, and you'll also receive a connection confirmation pop-up, but you'll also notice that the Bluetooth icon is going to turn blue, indicating that it's successfully been paired. Starting off strong with the craft section, this is the one I personally enjoy the most because it lets you select the ingredients you have on hand, and the AI will then suggest a variety of cocktails it can make. It also dispenses the exact amount of each ingredient for every cocktail it recommends, so there's no need to measure or guess anything yourself. On the craft screen, you'll see 2 tabs at the bottom, Stations and Explore. Start by selecting Stations. This will bring you to the Reservoir Station screen where all 6 reservoirs will appear, each labeled alphabetically so you can easily keep track of what ingredient goes in each one. To enter an ingredient, simply tap the corresponding station. You'll see an overfill warning message. Just keep in mind that each reservoir only holds a maximum of 25 ounces, and adding more will cause an overflow. The next screen lets you search and assign ingredients to each station. Once an ingredient is selected, enter the amount you're adding. You can choose ounces or milliliters. Here, I'll use 10 ounces as an example. So you'll want to go ahead and repeat the same steps to fill the remaining reservoirs. If you don't find an exact ingredient, just choose the closest match. This is new technology again, so the system is always updating its inventory. You also don't need to fill all 6 of the reservoirs for the system to work. If all you have are 3 or 4 ingredients, that's totally fine. You just can't exceed 6. As you can see in my example, I've only filled 5 out of the 6 reservoirs. As you assign ingredients to each station, the system labels them so you know exactly what goes into each reservoir when it's time to pour. Alright, so now it's time to fill the stations. Start by inserting the funnel into the correct reservoir and double check you're adding the corresponding ingredient. Repeat until all selected reservoirs are filled. And don't forget to use the measuring cup to avoid any overspills. Now, from experience, we highly recommend starting with about a quarter of your inventory just to get comfortable with the system since it is new technology. We did have one early moment where the app disconnected while everything was already filled. And because the system runs through the app, nothing can be removed until it reboots. In our case, that took a full day, which was definitely not our favorite experience. We never actually figured out if it was user error or the system itself, but either way, it only takes one time to learn to slow down, double check, and just take your time setting everything up. Now for the fun part, once your ingredients are all in, tap ready to pour at the bottom. The AI will then generate drink recommendations based on what you've entered. I only had one option, but you may see several depending on your ingredients. Tap the drink recommendation of your choice to see more details, including the name, recipe, garnish options, and more. Sometimes a cocktail recommendation will call for extra ingredients like an herb. The system will prompt you before pouring or even during the pouring session. If you don't have it, don't worry. You don't have to add it. You can just skip and continue without it. Once you're comfortable with your selection, tap the craft button below to get started. Next, the system will prompt you to place your glass on the coaster base. You'll notice the unit turns green. Wait for this prompt before placing anything on the base, as placing it too early can cause glitches we'd rather you avoid. If your drink needs ice, add it before placing the mixer. Once dispensing begins, don't remove the cup to avoid errors. It may take a few seconds, but once it starts, the system will show which ingredients and how much is being dispensed. As mentioned, if a cocktail calls for an extra ingredient like an herb and you don't have it, simply tap next to skip. Once pouring is complete, you'll see a variety of different options. Hitting done will take you back to the drinks recommendation screen. Heads up, the mixer will keep spinning until you remove it. Alright, so now we're going to get into the create section of the Barsys system. So unlike with the craft, where the system was crafting drinks based on the ingredients that you had on hand, the create section allows you to tell the system what recipes you'd like to create with the ingredients that you are adding. To add the ingredients, you're going to go to the device tab and click on this stations tab. Just like with the craft section, you're going to add each ingredient into their corresponding reservoirs. You'll also receive an overfill warning message, and you'll select the ingredients from the ingredients list. Now, the biggest difference between the craft and the create options on the Barsys system is that with craft, the system is recommending cocktails based on the ingredients that you have selected, versus with the create, you are now telling the system what cocktails you'd like it to make based on the ingredients and recipe you are entering. At this particular stage of the process, all you are simply doing is telling the system how much of each ingredient you are dispensing into each station. You are not yet telling the system what recipe or how much of each ingredient goes into the specific cocktail you'd like it to make. Now, once you have finished filling each reservoir with their corresponding ingredients, you'll want to hit the back button up at the top left-hand corner next to Station Menu. Once here, you'll want to hit the Create tab again, and here is where you are now going to tell the system the exact recipe for your cocktail. You will notice that all of the ingredients that you entered into each station will show up here. Now, be careful, this has happened to us already. We accidentally entered the total amount of ingredients that we entered into each station, and so we ended up with a full cup of just vodka and a complete mess and overfill. So again, this part here is where you are going to tell the system exactly how much of each ingredient goes into each individual cocktail drink. So if you are making a mojito, then you want to make sure that you let it know, hey, you need 2 ounces of tequila. I don't even know what goes into a mojito. I have no idea, guys. This is why I use the craft and not the create. But you guys get the gist. In this section, again, you are simply adding the exact recipe for each individual cocktail. So just make sure that you do not add the entire amount of ingredient that you entered into each station on the previous station screen. Now you'll hit the save button, and this is going to take you to a separate section where you'll be able to label and title and enter details regarding your specific recipe and cocktail. Now, there are categories on here that you do have to complete in order for the system to allow you to move forward. So you will have to enter a title for your cocktail, a description for your cocktail, and also let it know exactly what type of mixer or spirit you're using. So in this example, we're just going to enter sample as the title and sample as the description. Now, these two options here allow you to select or let the system know that the recipe that you're using is a Barsys recipe from their cocktail menu, or if you are creating a cocktail that contains no alcohol. Now, I haven't used any of these options, so I can't really speak too much on them, but they are there in case you need them. Now, each section here allows you to be more descriptive. And again, if you don't enter them, you're not going to be able to move on. So you will have to choose exactly what mixer or what spirit label you're using. And sometimes you may or may not find the exact label or brand. So just choose the closest one available. Same thing goes for the mixer that you're using. If you can't find the exact brand, or if it's maybe a juice versus a syrup, but it kind of does the same thing, just select the closest to the ingredient. Once finished, select Save Custom Drink, and you'll receive a pop-up that lets you know that all your custom drinks are saved under the My Drinks section. You can directly hit on Go to My Drinks to see your custom drink in the menu section. Now, let's say that you accidentally entered an ingredient incorrectly. If you hit on the three dots to the right, you're going to notice that you can go back into the cocktail description section and make changes to any of the ingredients. Now, if everything looks good, just keep hitting the back button until you reach the screen where you can see the profile icon up on the top right-hand corner. If you click on this, you'll see a list of options. If you click on My Drinks, this is where you'll always be able to find your crafted drinks, including their ingredients. Now, back on the home screen, if you click on the profile icon, there is an option for you to go into what's known as party mode. So this feature essentially allows you to create a menu of different cocktails based on the ingredients that you have entered. Now, Barsys does provide a menu of different mix list options. However, if you click on the information icon, it does let you know that you can choose from any of the Barsys mix lists, or you can choose your own drinks from the My Mix section of the app. In order for you to create your own mix list for your guest, you'll want to go ahead and click on the back tab and click on the profile icon, and you'll see a drop down of options. From here, you're going to want to click the mix list tab. Here you'll find a menu of cocktail mixes from Barsys. Just keep in mind that for party mode, you'll need the matching ingredients for each mix if you do decide to use one of their options. For this video, however, I'm showing you how to create your own party mode menu using your own recipes. Now go ahead and tap the My Mix List tab at the bottom. You'll see no mix list found. That's because we need to add our recipe here first. Here you can name your mix list and add your recipes. Tap the add recipe on the bottom to select the one that we created earlier titled sample. You'll see other cocktail options appear as well, but just keep in mind if the ingredients to those cocktails aren't loaded in the reservoirs, the system won't be able to craft them. In this case, we're going to hit on the sample one that we created earlier, and you'll see that it automatically adds it now to our mix list menu. Now, a menu wouldn't be a menu with just one option, so to add more, tap the Add Recipe tab below. Again, while you can choose from Barsys recipes, your ingredients do need to match what each cocktail requires. So when creating your own menu, try to choose recipes that share ingredients so you have a variety of options to choose from. Hit the back button until you're at the home screen. From here, we're going to create another recipe with the ingredients we have so we can add another menu item from our party mode list. So go ahead and click on the Create tab again. Here, you'll see the ingredients that you previously added to the stations. The difference now is that you're going to be creating a completely different drink option. For example, a daiquiri and a rum sour use the same exact ingredients. The difference is in their proportions. Both use the same ingredients, white rum, lime juice, and simple syrup, but one leans more citrusy while the other is slightly sweeter. And that's really where the system shines. It handles all of those measurements for you after you have entered them in this recipe section. Once finished, I'm going to click on the Save tab below. And following the same steps as with our first recipe, we're going to give this one a name, a description, and category details. Since this is a new recipe, I'm going to title it differently. So we're going to use sample 2 for this example. Once we finish, we're going to click on the Save Custom Drink tab below. You'll get the same pop-up message indicating your new recipe has been added to the My Drinks menu, and you can click on the Take Me There button to see your newly added recipe. So here you go, you have both recipes now, sample 1 and sample 2 appear. From here, you'll want to press the back button until you see the profile icon appear. Click on it and then select the mix list option from the drop down. Then you'll hit the My Mix List and you'll select the Add button up on the right hand corner. Here you're going to add a recipe. Now you want to stop here because you already created an original mix list under sample 1. So you'll want to click that one first and then add the second recipe to that original mix list. Now you are going to have to title it because the system won't let you continue until you fill all of this stuff out. So give it a title, and you are also going to have to add a photo. Now we do have a pre-loaded photo on the iPad since you are unable to remove the iPad to take a picture. So just use the one that we have available for you. We promise it's really cute. And then go ahead and finish up your process by clicking on Save. You'll then see a pop-up letting you know that your mix list has successfully been added. And then click the back button until you reach the main menu. Click on the profile icon, and from here, select a party mode. And now you should see your mix list available to choose. Now click on your mix list and you'll be able to see both of the recipes that we created earlier. And with party mode, you can leave it on this screen so you can continue to come back as often as you'd like and click on the recipe you'd like the system to dispense. The really cool thing about this system is that once you've entered all of the recipes information, everything gets saved so you don't have to do the measuring yourself. It automatically will dispense the exact measurements based on the recipe that you select. Going back to the main menu, I'll now show you how to flush out and clean the reservoirs, which can be located under the Device tab. Here you'll notice a variety of different options to choose from. We are specifically going to be focusing on the Station Cleaning tab as well as the Flush tab. Now, because a lot of the ingredients do consist of sugary or sticky syrups, it is very important to clean out the reservoirs after every use. Leaving liquids inside of the reservoirs can cause the dispensing lines to get clogged and essentially rendering the device useless or even cause severe malfunctions and in turn result in a really bad experience for everyone. Now, because we do have liquids within each reservoir, we're going to select the flush option. This is going to dispense all of the liquids out from each station and clean them. You'll then see all of the stations and approximately how much liquid is in each reservoir. Now, for this step, you are going to need 2 items. You'll need an empty container that can hold all of the liquid that's going to be dispensed from each station. Remember that the measuring cup that we provide holds only up to 32 ounces, so you will have to empty the contents as you go. For the cleaning portion of the process, you will need a cup with clean water and just a little bit of soap. And just as a heads up, depending on how many of the stations need to be flushed and cleaned, you may need to refill this mixture a few times so you can get all the stations cleaned out properly. Now, to get started, you're going to click on your desired station and hit the Start button below. You'll then be prompted to place an empty container on the coaster base. You'll notice that the unit turns red. That's indicating that it is ready to start the flushing and cleaning mode. Place your empty container onto the coaster base. And just be patient. It does sometimes take a little while for the contents to start dispensing. But once they do, you will see that the unit turns a different color and that the contents start to dispense. The system will also let you know which station it's dispensing from and give you the option to either pause or stop the process. Pausing allows you to empty out the contents of the container to avoid overfills. Now, unfortunately, the system doesn't have a way to sense when to stop dispensing. Until you remove the container, it will continue to try and dispense liquid. So you'll want to hit the stop button on the system, and then you'll be prompted to remove the container. You'll also notice that when you hit the stop button, the color on the device does change from blue to green, indicating it's okay to remove. You'll then get a process completed message pop up. And now the system will continue on with the cleaning process of that particular station. For this step, you want to be sure that you have your clean water with a little bit of soap handy, and you'll also need the funnel. And if you have multiple stations to flush, make sure you empty out the contents of your container before continuing, since you will need it when the system empties out the cleaning solution. Once ready, go ahead and click on the continue button. You'll then see a pour cleaning solution message pop up. Go ahead and insert your funnel. Remember to insert it the right way. And you'll then start to pour in your cleaning solution. Now, you do want to be sure that there is absolutely nothing sitting on the coaster base during this process. The system and the unit can be extremely sensitive to things like these and cause glitches that we'd rather you not experience. Once finished, back on the system application, go ahead and click the continue button. Now, the system does give you a little bit of time for you to prepare either the cleaning solution or the empty container. You have about 30 seconds to do it before it will automatically start to dispense. So if you've already added the cleaning solution like we did, we're going to just hit the continue button and the system will now tell us to place the container. It will change to a red color, indicating you to place the container on the coaster base. Now, just like when we were flushing the stations, this process can take a little bit before you actually see the system start dispensing the cleaning solution. Again, unfortunately, the unit does not have a way of detecting when all the contents have been completely dispensed, so it will continue to try and dispense the liquid from the reservoirs until you choose to either stop or pause. Now, it will tell you to go ahead and remove the container, as well as ask you if you have any other stations you need to flush. In our scenario, we do have more to flush, so we're going to choose yes, and then move on to flushing and cleaning out the rest of the stations available. You'll repeat the same exact process for every station until they are fully empty and cleaned. Remember that you may end up needing to empty out the contents of the container and refill your cleaning solution a couple of times depending on how many stations you need to flush. And this concludes our tutorial on how to use the Barsys system. We hope you found it helpful, but most importantly, we hope you have fun exploring this new gadget. If it's something you'd like for your own home, we've included a link for where to purchase. Thank you again so much for staying with us at HDN. We appreciate you being here.